Welcome back to React Native Radio Podcast. Brought to you by the Winter Weather Watch, who are reporting that snow and ice are currently trying to destroy half of the U.S. Episode 352, Expo Launch with Cedric.
All right, so episode 2 of the new year, and Jamin is still nowhere to be seen. Have you found him, Robin, or not yet?
I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure he still exists.
So 2026 got the best of him. All right, or 2025 for that matter. And it's actually interesting. He didn't even show up for his son on our episode.
Cedric is on the podcast, and Jamin's not even here.
Wow, tisk Jamin.
For those people who aren't in the loop, Jamin's son's name is Cedric. Not this Cedric, but also Cedric.
Yes.
But it's such an uncommon name that it's quite the coincidence that we have 2 Cedrics in our circle.
Welcome to the show, Cedric.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert, we have Cedric on the episode.
Yeah, he's here with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Well, as always, I'm Mazen, she's Robin, and we're React Native Radio. And I think for the Cedric, what number episode is this? I started looking it up and I was like, okay, 1 episode, 2nd episode. I was like, all right, he's been on a lot of episodes.
I think this is my my 3rd time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Did anyone else get the 3rd time yet?
I
don't think so.
Oh,
actually.
hell yeah.
Maybe Evan? Has Evan been on 3 times?
No, I think Evan has been on
twice?
Maybe twice.
Ha.
Yeah.
I think maybe you have the honor.
Yeah.
So you should really relish that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I don't think we have like a trophy or anything for you.
you could just put it on like your Slack message, your Slack profile or something.
Yeah.
Or Discord profile.
The title is enough of a win for me already.
There you go.
I just put it on your LinkedIn, like.
Well, for any of our listeners who, haven't met you before or listened to your previous episodes, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Cedric. I work at Expo. I used to do dev tooling, or still do dev tooling, but now I'm also very occupied with something called Expo Launch.
Spoiler.
Expo Launch, spoiler alert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that maybe what we're here to talk about
He's
today?
launching our episode already before we even begin. Look at that.
Gotta launch fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we're losing our listeners at this point.
No, they love us. This is why they tune in.
Yeah. They tune in for the warmer and then they tune out, right? Is that what it is? Well,
right. Expo
anyways,
Launch.
before we get into our topic, let's hear from our sponsor. Infinite Red is a premier React Native consultancy located fully remote in the US. We're a team of 30 senior plus level React Native developers and support staff, and have been doing this for nearly a decade.
No, over a decade.
Over a decade. Okay,
We still
I
haven't
need to fix
updated the
that.
copy for the ad read, but it is over a decade.
Okay. We've been doing this for over a
There we go.
decade. I don't know if you heard my pen click, but I'm
He's taking notes.
taking my notes now. If you're looking for React Native expertise for your next project, hit us up at infinite.red/radio. Don't forget to mention that you heard about us through the React Native Radio podcast. All right. As we made our punny jokes earlier, we're talking about Expo Launch. And I guess the best way to kind of kick this off is in our prep for this episode, I was like, Robin, so we have Cedric coming on, and we're going to talk about this thing called Expo Launch. So we go to Google and
Let's
type
try
in
it.
Expo Launch. And literally my reaction was like, wait, that's it? Like,
No, exactly. I watched the video and I was like, what?
yeah, Beto had a video.
No way. I was
a
like,
minute.
stop. That's not real. Is what I think I literally said, stop it. That's not real.
Yeah, and I think that's just because as developers, we've been burned so much by like pushing our apps to the stores and that whole
my
test
God.
flight process.
We
And
could probably spend half the episode like talking about
gripes with
a horror
test flight.
story, like stories of like how we used to have to ship apps
Yeah.
manually and
So
how long it took.
spoiler to our listeners, this is iOS only, right? Unless Cedric has something different for us, he's about to tell us. Well, let me hand it over to you, Cedric. What is Expo Launch? give us like your elevator pitch
Yes.
for Expo Launch.
So it's Expo Launch is iOS only right now, at least for now. Expo Launch is a project that we saw the need for to create, especially around the age of the AI app editors, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many app builders right now that either wrap npx test flight or don't even allow you to publish to the App Store right away. So we thought it is useful to have a more streamlined version of what we already have with EAS, but as a service. That's exactly what Expo Launch is.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
for any of our listeners that haven't tried it, just go to the website and the website launch.expo.dev. And pretty much as long as your repo is public, which, we'll get into those details later, but if your repo is public, basically fill out the form and, do your Apple auth.
Right. It's very much
it.
like it walks you through and prompts you for everything. I actually tried it with my just like side project app, and it worked up. The only hiccup was just that our Infinite Red account, all of our distribution certs spots were used up, and I didn't want to go like messing with our certs for the sake of prepping for the podcast.
You should just kicked off a client for the podcast.
And then I was out of town for the next 3 days. And so I didn't get to like finish, but it was so like slick. I kept expecting it to fail, but it was like, nope. So
can you walk us through like how it's built? I know it's all on the website. What's actually happening there when you do this?
That's a good question. I mean, with Expo, we are focusing on like the native side of things, right? But with Expo Router, we started looking into web development as well with Expo. So then we added EAS hosting, and Launch is actually just an Expo project running in Expo Web only on EAS hosting. So it's literally just a normal Expo project. Yes, it does talk to EAS like the rest of EAS, like EAS build, EAS submit. But in essence, it's literally just an Expo project. Behind the scenes, it's just making sure that the right data is configured, like in your project on the servers, whether they be Expo or Apple's. And from there, we just like kick off an EAS workflow and build your app and submit it.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's super simple. Like when we designed the initial prototype, we had so many ways to go to, right? We just wanted to be able to do a sort of a one-click deployment, but that is super, super hard. Like you have to predict pretty much everything. Then like you really can't just figure out if like what kind of app the user wants on the App Store. The user has to provide that themselves. So we ended up on like a sort of a very simple checklist that you go through and then just build it. And because we stick to our original principles about being like extremely simple, it's just getting any project into a workflow as soon as possible and then just build and submit it. We easily build it out pretty much for Expo.
EAS is like had to exist before Expo Launch could exist, because like that's sort of what's underpinning the build part of it anyway.
Oh yeah, no, like we have been talking at Expo for years now about this project, but we didn't really have any good hosting service ourselves. We didn't have like proper web support in terms of where you can just mix and match whether it be a native app or a web app with API routes, like with a backend. We had none of that when we started talking about this idea. So a lot of places had to be filled in, and over the years we worked towards it. And now that we have the pieces in place, we can actually do it. That's very exciting.
Okay, so it's been an idea for a long time, and it's sort of like taken a development of a lot of other projects to sort of fill in the pieces to this, like this very common like workflow that like every app developer has to do, but like there's so many steps, and like Expo basically is like filled in all the steps, and now you put it together with a nice bow and you're like
exactly. Yeah, and like I mean there are different projects at Expo where we had other plans with that the whole like AI bubble basically changed, or like the AI hype. Launch definitely was fast tracked because of AI.
Oh, interesting. In terms of like being able to code things a lot quicker, or like how did AI play a role?
So we have if you go to the expo.dev website, you can read about James's statement about AI app editors, and we basically wrote it more as a guideline on what people can expect from Expo, the framework. And in there you can read that we want to work with pretty much everyone who wants to. But in our experiences with working with them over the past year, we saw the need for Launch coming through yet again. In some environments, you couldn't even run EAS CLI, for example. How would you get your Expo app into the stores if you can't even properly build it or can't even export it, in some ways?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could do it through exporting to GitHub, etc. But it's way too many steps. Limiting it in such a way with Launch, where you can just kick it off and forget about it, I think that makes a lot more possible.
So an AI agent could conceivably build an app start to finish and ship it with the help of Launch. Is that the idea?
Well, actually, I'm not sure if you've seen, but last year we actually launched with Replit. We now, or Replit basically builds an Expo app that we can build through Launch. And the integration that we did together was a special partnership to see what we needed to build out for Launch on the third-party side. And, well, I mean, that has been shipped now. And the reception of it has been beyond my expectation, which is pretty fun. Seeing the same interactions that people had, just like you, were surprised. They had no idea it was even possible. Seeing that coming from the whole user base of Replit, yeah, that's fantastic. I still remember one person who said something being able to do this in 6 minutes instead of 2 to 3 hours makes so much more worth trying.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want to do here. We don't want to flood the App Store with bad apps, but we do want to make it possible for anyone to create really good apps and get it out there.
I mean, this all kind of, if you go back to the inception of EAS, right, there was a pain point. You all at Expo came up with a great tool. I think as developers, we usually have something bugs us for a little bit. We're like, all right, I need a tool to solve this for me. And I think EAS was the beginning of all this, the first tool that came out. And I remember this was Chain React. When did EAS come out? 24? No,
earlier.
Earlier than that.
Oh, it was early. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I remember it was Chain React and EAS was still in beta. And I was like, well, let's just try this tool and see how it works. And I remember being able to just create updates the night before, Chain React started.
It was 22.
22. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that first tool kind of kicked this off. And then now, you kind of bring up a whole AI where you just tell it, hey, AI, do this for me. And it kind of goes off and does it. This is almost what Launch is doing. We're like, hey, Launch, here are my prompts. Here's my app. Here's my repo. Go ahead and put this for me on test flight to make it easier for me to do this. That's yeah, it's still mind-boggling how that's all happening. And you're just saying it's just EAS workflow underneath the hood. That's amazing. Now, this is public repo only. So, anyone, if you're willing to make your app repo, what about, enterprise or just even a private repo? I don't want my app to be public. Will I be able to kind of be able to use this tool?
Yes. Eventually, we'll open it up also for private repos. For enterprise users, there's probably something else that we can think of that would work better for them. Just like we did with having a special deal with Replit where they neatly integrate with the whole system. But all of that is in due time. It's we don't have a lot of people working on this right now at Expo. We are very, very undermanned. It's pretty much me and 2 or 1 other people every now and then. But
which makes it all the more impressive, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because of that, we also have to prioritize in what we are focusing on next.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think it makes a lot of it it kind of fits the vision for it to be public repos, because you're talking about people testing out an idea, spinning something up quickly. The audience right now isn't necessarily the bigger companies or the enterprise companies who would be doing private repos, because most of the ones I know still want a lot more hands in every part of the process to be like very sure that it's like working the way they want and like minimizing risk and everything. So really the audience right now that's going to be using this is probably doesn't care about public or private repos. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like enterprise probably have their own security team that wants to do their own ways. And I mean,
oh yeah, I know. Like every enterprise company I know would like not their legal team would not let them like touch this at this point.
Yes, and that's fine. Like that's perfectly
which
fine.
is totally fine. Yeah, it's not the audience at this point.
What about the stepchild that is Android? Are there plans to bring it into the mix?
Stepchild.
Well, Android users are
Android users
not
are
going
mad
to
at me.
appreciate that. But it does always seem like it's almost always iOS first and then Android. Like across the board, like I'm guilty of this too. I'm not totally sure why it is. I think sometimes like iOS systems just work a little bit more seamlessly out of the box, and Android tends to require a little bit more like fiddling around and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most projects are like, do we want to go the hard route and start with the Android app first and make sure it's production ready, and then do the iOS app, which will just automatically be ready?
I mean, to be fair, that's the reason Android users like Android, is because they have a lot more of like fine-grained control, but you do have to like put more work into like figuring out exactly how to set things up for it to work.
I mean, people might be mad at me for saying this, but do you as a business want to work on something that earns you money or earns you like less money, way less money?
Yeah.
So I guess it's fair to say that Android.
Cedric's speaking truth.
I'm sorry. No, it's fair to say like we are focused on Android, especially at Expo, also with Launch. The unfortunate thing here, though, is that we are missing APIs. Like we actually have investigated this already. We have a backup, but the backup is still a manual process. So the manual process will be to allow Launch to build your Android app through ES workflows, and then allows you to download the build to put it in your Play Store account. It's not the way that we want it to be. As anyone should be able to use Launch, especially for Android as well.
It doesn't have the same magic either.
Exactly.
Exactly. Isn't that the same process with EAS? Where for EAS Submit, I believe, for Google Play Store at least, the first version has to be done manually, and then update can happen whenever.
Is this using the same tech as EAS Submit?
It's using...
Or is it different?
It doesn't use the identical tech, but it uses a similar one. We are using it in a very different way with Launch. So we can...
So I was going to ask about the APIs, how you're interfacing with like Apple in this case. Like, has the level of access that the Apple gives changed in the last 10 years? Or are you still working with like the same APIs that we were like using via Fastlane?
So that's
5 or 6 years ago.
That's a good question. We actually have more capabilities right now than we had or used to have with Fastlane, especially around like submission. And this is also something we're actively looking at now. But submission used to be done through like the transporter app. Then like you could do it from Xcode. Fastlane, I think, might have reverse engineered the transporter app. But now with like a more recent update from the App Store or the App Store Connect API, they allow you to create a build upload through REST APIs. So the site skipping like instantly, the transporter app, Xcode, even the requirement to run on Mac OS. So yeah, the things, Apple is opening it up a little bit more, but we're just using the ASC APIs.
So, but you're like, so a lot of it probably was stuff that has existed for a long time. You're just kind of the first ones to take all of it from like start to finish, do it more behind the scenes, and like really simplify the user experience versus like what we used to have to do with Fastlane and Fastlane Match. Still, I have nightmares about trying to get my certs to work.
Yeah, exactly. Like we try to streamline any big problems for app development in any area of like development, right? So we have the framework, which already is a big part of it. Then we added CNG to, well, keep it up to date and at all times. Then we added like the build tooling, or the build services like ES Build, etc. that runs on modern, fast hardware, as opposed to some other Microsoft-owned public companies that doesn't use fast hardware. Anyways, so that's exactly what we wanted to do with Launch as well. It's like getting it into the App Store is such a hard problem even today. Like you mentioned already, like the certificates, you have to have everything set up. You have to have a developer license, and Launch won't fix that either. You have to have the developer license.
Yeah.
But those are all like hurdles that nobody really wants to do. Like, you just want to build your app. You just want to focus on your project and make that the best thing in the world that you can get it. So yeah, it's an area that, I mean, we really try to streamline, and we are one of the few companies lucky enough to have all the pieces in place. So for us, it just made sense to try it.
It feels like a culmination. Like, it really does.
Exactly.
Of just like so many years of working towards the same goal. And now it's like, okay, let's connect all these pieces together. And
exactly. And like Apple can do this as well, right? Like they have their Xcode cloud builds, but even that still requires some form of setup. That can be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One, this just feels more React Native focused.
Yeah.
And friendly.
I mean, that's also like one of the things that we wanted to try as soon as possible with Launch, is that it's not just React Native either. It's like the build system, or like the whole Launch system that we added is so simple that we can extend it in different ways. Like, we can extend it by adding different deployment targets, right? Right now we have the App Store and EAS hosting for web. But we can definitely like add the 10-cent App Store if people want that. We can add, like, I mean, we're still talking with Google, but we can add the Play Store as well. We can add alternative app stores if we need to for European users. But besides that, we can also just like slap in a new framework. And that's something we wanted to try as well. Mm-hmm. So during Halloween, we actually added Flutter support, and people thought we were joking. And then,
You should have done it on April 1st. And then people
I
actually thought you were.
Yeah. We're a little bit too late for that, but I think Halloween was the next big thing because it's scary.
Yeah.
So
Right, because it's scary. You're right. That's perfect.
Yeah. No, people were really genuinely surprised and thought we were joking up until we actually had to get the Flutter account tweeted out as well. That is now possible in order for people to believe it.
Wow.
That's funny. Everyone's like, yeah, good joke. No.
Yeah.
But it just proves how versatile it is.
Exactly.
Like, it's not tied into React Native.
It's not tied into React Native. It's not tied even into Expo either. Yeah. It's like we just wanted to build whatever projects we get that we know about, and then get that to whatever App Store the user wants that we know about. That's the whole idea.
Awesome.
Cool. So we've talked about the tech and and Android coming soon. What else? What's the future of Launch look like? What's coming down the pipeline?
So first is some work that we need to do to stabilize the integration that we have with Replit. Being able to add more of these type of users where we can integrate into their platform for their users as well, but to really allow anyone to build whatever they want and submit it to their stores. But there are also we're also not done on the App Store yet. We have added support for app groups, widgets, live activities. We don't have support yet for APNS, but that's also coming. And then we even have support for app clips as well, or like it's currently in the testing phase. Those are like the really fun things that are extremely hard to do if you want to do it yourself and configure everything manually. So for example, with an app clip, you have to have your app, you have to have the app clip target, then you have to define the relation of the app clip towards the app. But then on top of that, you also need to configure your domain to be pointing to your app through the well-known associations or site associations. And then besides that, you also have to configure the app's relation to the domain via associated domains. If we can automate all of that, which we're actually pretty close to, then anyone can make a website and an app clip at the same time without any problems. Like that's
Would that also work just like with universal link? Like if you're not doing an app clip, if you just like want to automate setting up universal links between your website and your app.
So we don't have all the pieces yet to actually get that realized. That's also why we're working with like just a few, like just a handful of partners at first to figure out if it's possible in the first place. It's like, let's say you use Launch from your public GitHub repo. We only launch like a single target every time. But in order to do this, we have to be able to launch multiple targets, like one to ES hosting, one to the App Store, and then link everything together, right? We don't have that yet. So that piece might not be possible just yet. But for integrators, they might actually have that already, or like they have more of a sense of, hey, this is a user's project. We can configure this on the project level, configure it in Expo, the code, send it to Launch, which detect that it's configured. Therefore, we will set it up in the App Store, etc. So like we can actually try and finish that whole flow. Not right now, but we're actively working towards that. And then, of course, like we're also looking into adding more frameworks, more popular frameworks as well. I'm not going to say which one, but you kind of know which one.
React Native. Got it. Okay.
Read between the lines, folks.
Yeah. That's exciting. Yeah, that's all. I mean, it's stuff that I feel like as React Native developers, we thought was so far out. And just to hear that you all are kind of putting the pieces together and getting it closer and closer together is very helpful within there.
Well, it's being done in a way that like you guys have the resources to like go and work through these obstacles that like an ordinary app developer wouldn't be able to do. Like figuring out how to get the right services to talk to each other and the right APIs and stuff like that we wouldn't be able to go like do ourselves. And so it's really nice having a player in the community like Expo eliminating pain points all over the place. So universal links, that's the one that I want you to fix next, because boy, that was painful the last time I had to do universal link.
Yeah. I mean, like even that we're talking about for years now. And again, like we didn't have ES hosting at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're just adding little pieces to the puzzle all the time, and I can see a future where you like streamlined every piece.
I hope we get there.
Cool.
Yeah, I know you guys.
Hey, keep doing what you're doing. We love everything that Expo comes out with. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Well,
thank you.
For our listeners, where can our listeners kind of tune in and kind of find out when anything comes out soon? I assume your blog post is usually when you'd post these updates?
Yeah. If there are major announcements, we will write up a blog post. We will do some tweets. If people still call it Twitter. I'm one of them. So
everyone still calls it Twitter. Perfect. That I know of. I still call it Twitter. I go to twitter.com. I think I said this last episode.
Oh, yeah. I think they might have blocked it in my region. Like that doesn't work anymore for me. Yeah.
Like the twitter.com redirect?
Yeah, it just keeps on redirecting. Like it will just say too many redirects.
That's so...
Oh, wow.
That's so disappointing. I refuse to type x.com. No.
It's shorter though. Like it's faster. But
it is shorter, but it's not... I'll never do it.
All right. Thank you, Cedric. Really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us all that insight. And hopefully, our listeners gain something from this new tool that you all have.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Robin, do you have a mom joke to send us out?
I'm going to do one of Jamin's because he's not here, and that just feels appropriate. I'll never again donate to people who collect money for marathons. They just take my money and run.
Nice. All right. See you all next time. Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks.
As always, thanks to our editor, Todd Worth, our assistant editor, Jed Bartosky,
our marketing and episode release coordinator, Justin Husky, and our guest coordinator, Mazen Chami. Our producers and hosts are Jamin Holmgren, Robin Hines, and Mazen Chami. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check us out at infinite.red/radio. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe to React Native Radio on all the major podcasting platforms.